All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are going deep into something I think we can all relate to at least a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Family relationships. And
Yeah.
don't worry,
Go
we're
on.
not here to dish out any gossip or anything like that.
No.
We are unpacking Drama Free
Okay.
by Nedra Glover Tawwab, who is a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And she gives us some really amazing insights, I think, into these complicated family dynamics.
This book is really refreshing.
Yeah.
Because it really steers clear of, like, the blame game.
Yes.
And it's really all about empowering you with the tools to navigate those relationships and understand the dynamics that are at play.
I love that. And one of the things that really stood out to me
Yeah.
was how our childhood experiences,
Really?
even like the small ones,
Oh, yeah.
really impact our adult relationships.
Absolutely.
You're telling me anxieties can be inherited?
Yeah, it's actually a thing.
What?
It's called intergenerational trauma.
Okay.
And it's fascinating. Tawwab explains how, like, difficult events
Yeah.
during your childhood can shape your nervous system
Okay.
and influence your emotional responses and behaviors, even as adults.
Hmm.
So imagine it like this.
Okay.
You have a parent who grew up in a household where expressing emotions was, like, discouraged.
Right.
They might unintentionally pass that same pattern of, like, emotional suppression onto their children,
Wow.
even without realizing it.
So it's not just genetics.
Right.
It's learned behaviors and emotional patterns.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay.
And that's where things get really, really interesting.
Okay.
So the book delves into the science behind how these patterns can be passed down through generations.
Right.
And it affects everything,
Really?
from communication styles to our financial habits.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, there's this one part in the book
Yeah.
where she talks about how people from single-parent homes might struggle with the dynamics of two-parent families.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like they're missing a piece of the puzzle.
Right, because their normal was different.
Exactly. There was a different normal.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the context.
Yeah.
So if someone grew up in a chaotic household,
Right.
they might crave control and order in their adult relationships.
Makes sense.
Or conversely, someone who had, like, a really structured upbringing
Yeah.
might rebel against any perceived limitations.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So it's almost like these early experiences
Yeah.
become like a blueprint
Yeah,
for how we approach all relationships.
that's a great way to put it.
It's not about like blaming our parents or past experiences,
Right.
but recognizing that they've had an impact
Okay.
and then figuring out how to create healthier patterns.
Exactly. And speaking of recognizing patterns,
Okay.
Tawwab shares that most of her clients actually seek therapy for family issues more than any other type of relationship.
It's a universal struggle.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I think it's comforting to know that we're not alone.
Totally.
It reminds me of the Adverse Childhood Experiences Survey. Yes.
The ACE study.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it measures different types of adversity from childhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a powerful tool for understanding the long-term impacts of all these childhood experiences.
Right.
Did you know that a high ACE score is actually linked to a greater likelihood of experiencing things like
Oh, really?
health problems,
Like what kind of health problems?
relationship difficulties,
Okay.
even mental health challenges later in life?
Wow.
It's really highlighting the importance of addressing these issues
Head on.
head on. Exactly.
So really even small things
Yeah.
can have like this ripple effect
Absolutely.
on our present.
They do.
Okay, so let's talk about dysfunctional families.
Okay.
What exactly does that even mean?
That's a great question. So Tawwab defines a dysfunctional family as one where unhealthy behaviors,
Okay.
like abuse, chaos, or neglect,
Right.
are considered the norm.
Mm.
It's an environment where those patterns are not only accepted,
Wow.
but often perpetuated without question.
That's a really important distinction.
It is.
It's not just occasional disagreements or conflicts, but
right.
like this pervasive dysfunction.
Yeah, that becomes ingrained in the whole family dynamic.
So then this is where I think it gets really tricky,
Yeah,
because those unhealthy behaviors can seem normal
totally.
with someone who grew up with them.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself constantly forgiving a family member for hurtful actions, even when they never really changed?
Right here.
Or maybe you felt pressured to keep secrets or sweep problems under the rug to avoid, like, rocking the boat.
It happens all the time.
But if these patterns are so ingrained, why do we keep repeating them?
That's the million-dollar question.
Even when we know they're not healthy.
Exactly. And Drama Free does a really good job of tackling this head on.
Okay.
So she suggests a few key reasons.
Okay.
The first one is
Yeah.
it can simply be a lack of tools.
Okay.
If you never witnessed healthy conflict resolution or emotional expression in your family.
Where would you learn it?
Exactly. It's like trying to bake a cake without a recipe.
Right. You can't just magically develop those skills,
Yeah.
especially when you're dealing with family stuff,
Right.
which is so emotionally charged.
Exactly.
So that makes total sense.
And another common reason is control issues.
Control issues. Okay.
So those who grew up in chaotic or unpredictable environments
Right.
might try to overcompensate by micromanaging others.
Okay.
They're seeking to impose order on that chaos that they experienced earlier in life.
So it's less about being bossy
Right.
and more about creating safety and stability.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then there's emotional disconnect.
Okay.
So if you grew up in a family where feelings were dismissed or ignored, you might struggle to identify and express your own emotions in a healthy way.
Right.
It's like having a whole range of colors,
Yeah.
but only being allowed to paint with shades of gray.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're dealing with this like really complex web of learned behaviors and unprocessed emotions.
Absolutely.
So where do we even begin?
Well, that's where the concept of boundaries comes in.
Okay.
And this is one of the most powerful takeaways from Drama-Free.
Good.
Tawwab emphasizes that boundaries aren't about being mean
Right.
or cutting people off.
Yeah.
They're about protecting your own well-being
Okay.
so that you can show up as your best self in all relationships.
It's like putting on your own oxygen mask.
Yes.
First on the airplane.
I love that analogy.
You can't help anyone else if you're
Really?
gasping for air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Drama-Free gives us some compelling examples of how these boundaries play out in real-life family dynamics.
Okay.
So in one chapter, she shares the story of two sisters,
Okay.
Chelsea and Brianna.
All right.
So Brianna starts setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And guess what?
What?
It rocks the family boat.
Of course it does.
Yeah, because everyone is used to things being a certain way.
Right. And suddenly someone's changing the rule.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, I know that you're about to drop some serious knowledge bombs on us.
Oh, yeah, get ready.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Dysfunctional family systems are really interesting because they're kind of like ecosystems
Okay.
that are trying to maintain their balance. So they resist change because it threatens that familiar balance.
Right, even if it's unhealthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's unhealthy.
So when someone starts setting boundaries,
Yeah.
everyone feels it.
Everyone feels those ripples throughout the whole system.
I imagine that resistance
Yeah,
doesn't always come gently.
you're right. It doesn't.
Right.
The book really highlights that family members might actually push back against those boundaries
Okay.
and accuse the person of being like rude or selfish.
So it's almost like they're saying you're messing up our dysfunctional harmony
Exactly.
by doing this.
It's like a defense mechanism
Wow.
to maintain that status quo.
Even if it's unconscious. Right.
Even if it's unconscious, exactly.
They don't even realize they're doing it.
Right.
Sometimes those boundaries aren't enough.
Right.
What happens when staying in a relationship,
Yeah.
even a family one, causes more harm than good?
That's a really tough question.
It is.
And Drama-Free doesn't shy away from it.
Good.
So Tawwab acknowledges that ending relationships, even family relationships,
Right.
can be necessary for self-preservation.
Right.
Especially when there's like abuse or addiction or the mental health of the individual is really at stake.
Those are really tough situations.
They are.
And it's almost like a taboo topic
It is. It feels very taboo.
to talk about ending those family relationships.
Yeah.
But it's not about being like cold or heartless.
Right.
It's about recognizing your own limits
Exactly.
and prioritizing your well-being.
It's about choosing yourself,
Yeah.
even when it's hard.
It's hard.
And you know what's interesting is that this is more common than people think.
Really?
The book shares a statistic that estrangement from family is actually more prevalent
Wow.
than we realize.
It's like this hidden epidemic that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah, it really is.
So Tawwab outlines 6 common reasons why people choose estrangement.
Okay.
And some of them include like ongoing boundary violations,
Yeah.
unresolved conflicts from childhood, fundamental differences in values,
Yeah.
abuse and addiction within the family.
Right.
So it's not always about like one big event.
Right.
It's like this slow drift apart.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that sometimes certain relationships might not be salvageable.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
You know, one thing I thought was really great is that even if you have a challenging relationship with your family,
Yeah.
you're not destined to repeat
You're not.
those patterns in all your relationships.
That's such a great message of hope.
It is.
It really is.
But then how do we break free from these ingrained patterns?
Tawwab has some really good advice.
Okay.
She encourages people to create what she calls a chosen family.
A chosen family. Okay.
So this is all about being intentional with the relationships that you nurture,
Right.
you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
It's about fostering good friendships,
Yeah.
seeking out mentors,
Right.
finding communities that really resonate with you and your values.
So it's like saying, okay, I didn't win the lottery with my biological family,
Yeah,
but I can create a family that supports and uplifts me.
exactly. You have the power to choose
Yeah.
the people that bring you joy and encouragement and all those healthy interactions.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a bit and get into some of the nitty-gritty,
Okay, let's do it.
specific challenges and like practical advice
Yeah.
from the book
All right.
for dealing with some of these tricky family dynamics.
So we'll start with substance misuse.
Okay, substance misuse in the family.
So one of the most important things the book emphasizes is setting those firm boundaries
Yes.
and recognizing enabling behaviors.
Right?
It's about protecting yourself while also encouraging that individual to get help.
This is so hard, though,
It is so hard.
because it's someone you love.
Yeah.
And so where do you even begin to draw those lines?
That's why she emphasizes seeking outside support for yourself,
Oh,
whether it's therapy or support groups,
yeah.
or even just talking to trusted friends.
It's a good point because you can get so caught up
You do.
in trying to fix the situation
Yeah.
for the other person
Right.
that you forget to take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about another challenge.
Okay.
Sibling rivalry.
Ooh. Sibling rivalry.
It can cause a lot of strain
It really can.
on adult relationships.
Yeah. Those old wounds run deep,
They do.
even if they're from silly childhood things.
Yeah, for sure.
So Tawwab gives some good insight
Oh, okay.
on how to deal with those resentments. So she talks about practicing compassion,
Yeah.
finding that common ground,
Mm-hmm.
and remembering that even though you share a family history, you are also separate individuals.
Right. You have your own experiences and perspectives. So you're acknowledging the hurt,
Yeah.
but not letting it define the relationship.
Right, and finding a way to connect as adults.
Right.
While recognizing you might have different paths and priorities.
Exactly.
And speaking of paths and priorities,
Yeah.
raising our own children presents a whole new set of challenges.
It does.
How do we break those unhealthy cycles?
I think about this all the time.
You do.
I do. I really do.
That's great.
I'm always trying to be really mindful
Good.
and intentional as a parent,
Yeah.
so I don't repeat any of those negative patterns.
Well, it sounds like you're on the right track.
Okay, good.
And Drama Free offers some really great tips
Okay.
for creating that healthy dynamic with your kids.
Okay.
One is encouraging emotional expression.
Okay, so letting them feel.
Yes, let them know it's okay to feel their feelings.
Wow, that's like the opposite.
I know, it's so different.
Of how I was raised.
It is for a lot of us.
No.
But when we encourage that, it creates open communication and emotional intelligence. Another thing is admitting when we're wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It shows accountability and humility.
So we're normalizing imperfection.
Exactly.
And showing them that we're always growing,
We're all on a journey.
even as parents.
Yes, even as parents.
And also being present
Being present, yes.
in our children's world.
Not just physically, but emotionally engaged.
Yeah. Put down the phone.
Put the phone down.
Listen to their stories.
Yeah,
And be present in a way that maybe
that maybe we didn't have.
we didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Oh, here we go.
Let's talk about
The in-laws,
in-laws.
yes.
Oh, boy.
It can be a minefield
Eat.
of emotions and expectations.
So what does drama-free
Okay.
have to say about this?
Well, as with any relationship, it comes back to setting boundaries.
Okay.
So this might involve managing expectations,
Okay.
communicating with your partner
Right.
about your needs, and recognizing that you can't control your in-laws' behavior,
You're right.
but you can control how you respond to it.
So choose your battles wisely
Choose your battles.
and maintain your sanity.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's also important to communicate with your partner about the in-law dynamic.
Oh, yeah, because then you start to resent them
Yeah.
if you feel like you're handling everything on your own.
Right.
So communication is key.
It really is.
And if things get really bad,
Yeah.
therapy can be an option.
Therapy can be a great resource to
Yeah.
help couples navigate all this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Every page of this book is filled with light bulb moments.
I know, it's so good.
It's such a great resource
It is.
for anyone who wants to understand their family
Mm.
and improve those relationships.
Yeah.
So it's time to wrap things up.
Okay.
But I want to leave everyone with some food for thought.
All right. I love food for thought.
As we wrap up our deep dive into drama-free, there's this one thought from Tawwab that I thought was so powerful,
Okay.
and it really stuck with me.
Yeah.
She talks about the importance of understanding our parents' backstories.
Oh, that's so important, right? It's not about excusing their behavior, but it's about understanding, like, the why behind it. Like,
Yeah.
what events in their lives
Yeah.
shape their parenting style, even the not-so-great parts.
It's like putting those puzzle pieces together.
Yeah,
To see the world through their eyes,
Bro.
even if we don't agree with everything they did.
exactly.
It's about having empathy
Yeah.
and understanding.
It can be really challenging.
It can be.
It requires us to kind of dig deep
Yeah.
and confront maybe some painful things.
Right.
But it can be so insightful and healing.
Yeah.
It might not change the past, but it can help us understand the present
Right.
And move forward with more compassion,
yeah.
both for ourselves and for our parents.
It's like you can't understand someone until you've walked a mile in their shoes
Exactly.
and recognizing that
Yeah.
they are products of their own experience,
Yeah.
just like we are.
Right. And that understanding can be really freeing.
It allows us to let go of some of that anger and resentment
Yeah.
and even create space for forgiveness.
Even if it's just for ourselves.
Even if it's just for ourselves. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I think our brains are officially full
All right.
from this deep dive.
Me too.
But hopefully you're walking away.
Yeah.
Feeling a little less alone in your family struggles.
Absolutely.
And with some new tools to help navigate those complex dynamics.
This book is so empowering.
It is.
It really reminds us that it's never too late to break those unhealthy cycles,
Even with family.
even with family.
And it comes back to taking ownership
Yeah.
of our role in everything,
Yeah.
setting boundaries,
Yeah,
and knowing we have the power to create the relationships we want,
absolutely.
both in our family and in our chosen families.
You got it.
So that's it for our deep dive into Drama Free
Okay.
by Nedra Glover Tawwab.
Such a good book.
It's amazing if you are looking for a guide to navigating family relationships.
It's a must read.
It really is.
And remember, the journey to healthier relationships is ongoing.
It is. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself.
And keep learning.
Keep learning and growing.
So until next time.
Yes.
Happy deep diving?